Okay, so next, you guys, real quick, I'll deviate a little bit from our tour and jump just a little quickly onto the CRAM data sheet. Everybody pull out your sheet, regardless of which one you have, if you have the Riverine or the depressional. I'll talk about CRAM in a bit, but I just want to say that one of the key aspects of this is the so-called AA, the assessment area. And our site here, one of the reasons I wanted to come to this site for this activity is because it's a great example of this. So if we're out if we're at Carpinteria and we're doing one of these assessments using the Estuarine version of this, it's pretty straightforward. We're in Carpinteria, we're at Ash Avenue or whatever, right? Let's go check it out. And so the assessment area is the area we focus our analysis on. Okay, so that's the area we're analyzing, the area we're trying to score or grade. So the very first step before we do anything is to decide what is our assessment area. And again, in a place like Ash Avenue or something, it's pretty straightforward. But in a place like this, it's not necessarily. So we have the river here, and while the river isn't, technically a wetland, the area right on the edge of the river, it does meet our definition of season, of, sometimes wet, etc. And so, so we have I've given you guys two different sheets for starting with. The Riverine, which is the stuff right alongside the river, not the water proper, but the stuff right next to the water, before you get out of the channel, okay? It's complicated here because we have a levee. The levee's in the middle of where, the sort of natural channel would end, right? But nevertheless, we have a river version, and then I've given you the depressional wetland version. Again, we have various flavors for different types of wetlands, vernal pools, etc. The key thing with the assessment area is it cannot cross into another wetland type or another wetland category. So even though we have, in theory, we have some riverine area right here, and 10 feet right here we have some depressional wetland, you cannot use one for the other. And you have to make sure that your assessment area is only covering one type of wetland. Now, the assessment area does not have to be any one particular shape. It could be, if we're in the middle of a giant, 1,000-acre wetland, make it a circle. And it's just super easy, right? Just circle here. But in most cases, you want to pick it so it's easy, relatively easy. So in this case, we could maybe do the triangle here, right? Let's say, right? Because so what's the area? Well, we have the edge of the levee, we have the road on the other side, something like that, right? Pretty straightforward. Here, when we do the riverine one, probably makes sense to pick something, starting from the tree or starting from the edge of the levee, something. So while there are general guidances, in most cases, you want to pick something that's logistically easy for you to figure out. Why? One, just to be easy. Why make it harder on yourself? Two, there's a component of this that we do looking on maps and looking at the surrounding community, right? And there's a portion that we do out in the field. And the easier it is to locate the site by just looking, it's just that much faster and easier. If we have to go find our exact latitude and longitude and walk around over here, it's like, why do you need to bother with that? So figuring out what your assessment area is going to be is the first step, okay? And technically it says, is there anything here in this area, assuming there's a wetland here? Okay, yes. Then the next thing is, what's our assessment area? And with several of these things, there's the step. You go step 1, step 2, step 3. But in many cases, especially like when you guys, the way you are and you're learning it, it's more of an iterative thing, right? So normally we would start at home, start on the computer, and coming out to the site visit is the second step. But here, since it's our first time doing this, I wanted to come out first so we could see this first. But realize initially, if just like our other stuff, if I gave you guys the charge in the consulting firm, you would first go to your computer, call up Google Earth, start to look and create a little bit of the background info, and then come out. Cool? Okay, so assessment areas. So if you guys, when we start doing this, you want to do the riverine one, you would do it essentially outside of the levee. If we're going to do the depressional, the wetland one, the floodplain one, you would do it over here. And while there's no perfect place to do it, I would say this is a relatively easy to access, relatively simple place to do it. Cool? So that's assessment areas with CRAM. Okay.